environment, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brandon House.
And welcome. Glad you are with us. We're going to be joined by Usama Dakdok for a few minutes, and then Patrick Wood. We are going to talk about, well, what may shock many of you, but it was actually predicted on our broadcast in July by Annie Cyrus. Many times, by the way, we tell you guys things that we believe are coming long before most people will. You want me to let you in a little secret? You know why most people won't tell you the things we will tell you? Well, obviously, some of them don't see the things that we see. Many of them haven't been doing this as long as we have. And many of them don't understand the worldviews or the philosophies, so they have no grid by which to process what they're seeing. That's the first reason. But the second reason is why many people won't say what we say, and we often will be out front, is because they are still trying to be a part of the club. They want access to the White House. They want access to interviews of people in the administration. They are more interested in access or contracts than they are being first. And that's, everyone is entitled to do their own thing. I'm not criticizing them for that. Everybody, again, has the freedom to do as they want. I'm glad a lot of them don't want to say it first. I love the fact that oftentimes we say it first. That's how we've kind of built our reputation, predicting trends. So in July, Annie and I were talking about the fact that we would not be shocked to see Donald Trump impeached and then actually convicted and removed from office. I still think the probability of that is very high. And in fact, that may have been the plan all along. And last night, we had on the lead pollster of Rasmussen, Mark Mitchell. And he said, I would not be shocked if he's impeached and his own party goes in with that and helps. Well, of course, you have to be impeached in the House and then convicted in the Senate. I will not be shocked if Donald Trump is impeached and convicted and removed from office. Maybe next year, maybe 2027. But I think it could very well happen. I'm not saying it will, but I will not be shocked. That, again, brings up this issue. Why did the power elite allow a Joe Biden? They clearly stole the election in 2020. That's my opinion, based on a lot of information and evidence, obviously. Why did they want Joe Biden? They needed more destruction. They needed more chaos. They needed more division. But they went with Joe Biden, who really was pushing a form of communism, right? I mean, one of his own people inside his administration talked about how much respect she had for Mao Zedong. And so he was pushing definitely a communism, a Marxism. And then the power elite, for whatever reason, decided, we're going to let the capitalist, and I would put quotes around that. I'm not so sure Donald Trump is a capitalist. I'm not sure he really ever has been for many years now. But he was certainly recognized by many, and I think at one time he was a staunch capitalist. Certainly embraces capitalist ideas at times. I'm not sure that's what he is anymore. Not when you're buying up, private companies, buying the government. He's pushing for the government to buy into private companies. That's not free market capitalism. But he was certainly known as kind of the face of capitalism, kind of the face of greed is good of the 1980s, right? So regardless of what was under the hood, many Americans saw him as a capitalist. That's how they recognized him. Now, think about that for a minute, folks. And this is what most people don't do, but I know many of you in this audience do because you're smart and you've learned to do that either through your own study or listening to this broadcast. You have to look at the big picture from 30, 40,000 feet up and say, now, what is going on here? Joe Biden, that administration had what worldview that was pretty dominant? Communism. What is the worldview of Donald Trump as far as his caricature of what people think of him? Well, he'd be kind of like Mr. Capitalist, right? So why would they go from a communist to a capitalist? Well, that's where you have the Hegelian dialectic, thesis and antithesis, idea, opposite idea. And you let them fight. and you let them destroy each other until both sides are dissatisfied, or at least a large percentage of the population in the middle, which is probably the majority, are not happy with either. They're not happy with the communist, either because they don't like communism, or they're they don't even know. They just don't care for it or have no opinion. But then they see it in action, and they're like, that wasn't too good. Those 4 years under Biden weren't too good. Even some of the communists aren't so happy. They didn't get everything they wanted. So you create that dissatisfaction. Then you bring in the capitalists. And you see that's not going so well. And young white men particularly are very upset, and we've been talking about the last few weeks. No one's fixing the problems for them. Many people are looking at this administration and saying it's cronyism, it's corporatism, it's big business. And they're like, Mr. Capitalist didn't turn out to be such a good idea either. Now the power elite can tell you, well, Joe Biden, and they may not say these words, but the message will be sent. Capitalism didn't work. Communism doesn't work. There's got to be something we can do. How about if we go to technocracy? How about if we take out the human element of greed and corruption and go more with a system or set of rules that are very fair, egalitarianism, very equal. How about we go with a system that can't be corrupted by buying them off, because it's not a person, it's a algorithm, or it's a server, it's technology. And who better for the tech bros who've made their way into the administration to pick than maybe J.D. Vance? And that's why if they want to go ahead and impeach Donald Trump, then convict him, remove him for office, install J.D. Vance as president. He can run as an incumbent. And then you start letting the tech bros, who I think can control a lot of social media, do their thing. And you either end up by hook or crook with a J.D. Vance, their guy. Now, I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Maybe they've decided we're not done with this back and forth yet. You know what? Now let's send them through the wash again. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Let's bring in Gavin Newsom. Maybe that's the next play. But let me promise you one thing. We are being played. We are 100% being played. And this is what people like G. Edward Griffin have tried to tell us for decades. For decades. They're both the same group. One has an R, one has a D. It's the same group. And people thought that's just too pessimistic. That's just too much. I can't go with that. I have to have some hope. Well, reality is reality. But we're going to get to that with Patrick Wood. But first, Usama Dakdok, because in this mix, we now also have Islam, which, of course, many of the Islamists are into the technocracy. Remember the World Government Summit that keeps taking place every year in the United Arab Emirates? They're into this. But there is an element of Islam that is on the march to destroy the Christians and the Jews. And Memory, which is an excellent website, has the senior official of Hamas saying that the image of jihad has begun to shine once again after October 7th. If you support Palestine, you must wage jihad wherever and however you can. We also have a video, and this article is linked at worldviewreport.com, worldviewreport.com. We also have an article over there about an imam in Kansas. An imam in Kansas. Islamic clerics in America are encouraging worshipers to kill all the Zionist Jews and the people who help them. October 31st, Friday sermon at the Islamic Center of Kansas in Olathe. We held a Worldview weekend in Olathe. I know people that live in Olathe. It's a suburb of Kansas. I think that's actually in Johnson County, right there by Overland Park, Kansas. Joining me to discuss this is Usama Dakdoc. Usama, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brandon. It's always good to be with you, brother.
We also have an article by Linda Saussure. Linda Saussure says that all that's going on with Mamdani is causing Islam to grow. Isn't it interesting? After 9/11, Islam grew because politicians and pastors stumbled all over themselves to tell you Islam is peace. Islam is peace. Love your Muslim neighbor, which we should, but Islam is peace. And now we're hearing the same thing again. And isn't it interesting that despite October 7th, despite Mamdani getting elected, no matter what happens, it seems Islam just keeps growing, which to me shows us a few things. But one of them, Usama, is that this is a spiritual situation that people can be so deceived, right?
Sure. Well, it is a problem, Brother Brandon. First of all, thanks for having me on your show. But here's the problem. Whenever we have a chance to wake up the American people to learn the truth about Islam, we don't. As the church is the last one to speak on the topic, and I know this for a fact much better than anybody else. I contact churches all over this country. And it used to be for every 100 churches we call, we get one or two. Now every 160, 170 church, we get one church which are interested to have us to speak on the topic of Islam. So September 11 happened, and what we have 4 days after September 11, Mr. George W. Bush literally opened America for the Muslims and spoke very highly of Allah, Muhammad, Islam, and the Muslim people. As we have the videos, we have played these videos in your broadcast in the past, and people can see that there's nothing wrong with Islam. So why not we embrace Islam? But here's the reality. While the people in the West are embracing Islam after all these crises, which is golden opportunity for us to wake up the American and the people of the West. Well, guess what? While people, Muslim in the Muslim world, are seeing this as a black mark, as a problem, as a crisis, and many of them are leaving Islam. Sadly, even those who leave Islam because they see the reality of Islam from the action of the Muslims in the West, they're not becoming Christian. Majority of the Muslims who leave Islam becoming atheist or becoming agnostic, but they don't have a relationship with the Lord. They see the wrong in Islam and they leave. We see the wrong of Islam and we speak highly of Islam, and God help us. I do not know what we are except we are in the last days, Brother Brennan, as the scripture foretold that they will call evil good and good evil. So Islam is the most evil, savage cult, and somehow every time something wrong with the Muslims, we come up, oh, these are the radicals, these are the extremists. But Islam itself is a beautiful, it is a loving, and it's a peaceful religion.
Well, hold right there. Usama Dakdoc, thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org. And then Patrick Wood to join us on my opening monologue today, and where we're going into the future with Technocracy. All right. We have a brand new interview up last night from, again, the lead pollster of Rasmussen, Mark Mitchell. We have some other interviews there. You'll find them at worldviewtube.com. And big announcement, my next book, Siege, coming out tomorrow. We'll be right back.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab. And here, you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, my next book, Siege, based on the documentary by the same name, that came out in December of 2019. I've been working on this for so long. It should have been out a long time ago, folks. But there's a lot to do around here. And finally, I've turned that into a book, and that'll be out probably about close to 100 pages. Wouldn't you say, Logan? Close to 100 pages. And that will be out tomorrow. Now, you do not need to buy it. I mean, how often do you hear a talk show host telling you that? You don't need to buy it. That's one of our favorite lines around here. You do not need to buy it. If you are already a Situation Room, or what we now call the Vault member, you don't need to buy it. It's going to be put into the Vault, and you'll be able to download it as a PDF at worldviewtube.com/vault. My book that came out a couple weeks ago on Hamas is also, that one's over 100 pages. That one is also in there as well. It's kind of nice to have books that aren't like 300 to 500 pages. Remember, Religious Trojan Horse, Becoming Religious Reich. Those were all like 500 pages. You're like, I don't have time to read a 500-page book, Brennan. So we're going with a little bit smaller books so people can read them and not be intimidated by them, and maybe actually learn from spending some time in them. So again, the Hamas book is in there. The Siege book will be there tomorrow. worldviewtube.com/vault. All right. Joining me now is, again, Usama Doc of thestraightway.org. I want you to listen to what Linda Saussure had to say, because she claims that Islam is growing after October 7th. Listen to this, Linda Saussure of Muslim Brotherhood.
That God is testing the people of Gaza, but newsflash, he's not. Because those people are all straight ticket to heaven. The question is, what have you done with the blessings that you have been given so you can stop a genocide that is happening not only on your watch, but also on your dime? And so for me, Edward, I see inevitably that there will be a free Palestine. But the darkness has just begun. You think it's been only for 2 years? The darkness has just begun. And the darkness is going to befall on some people in this room. Just know that some of us will be sacrificed in this room, in this country. Because this current administration, they're not playing around with you. Our Palestinian people, sisters and brothers, have done more for you than you've ever done in our whole history in this country. They have taught people the essence of true Islam in ways that you can only dream of da'wah in this country. You think you do da'wah? No one has done the da'wah of the Palestinian people. More people have converted in our masajid, and every time I'm in my masjid and I say, what inspired you? What brought you here? Wallahi al-Azim, since the beginning of the genocide till now, 98% of the people that have converted in the masajid that I go to in Brooklyn, New York, said it was because of the people of Gaza. So they're doing that for you.
Wow, the people of Gaza, 98% converted to Islam, or at least have more embraced jihad since October 7th. Usama?
Well, first of all, she said when all these Muslims who died in the last 2 years go straight to heaven, that's not Islamic, that's not Quranic, that's not Muhammad's teaching. As a matter of fact, the Quran is very clear. وَمَا مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا وَرِدْهَا. Every Muslim, when he die or she die, they will go to hell. They ask him, as we stated in the hadith, even you, O Apostle of Allah, he said, even me, unless Allah cover me with his mercy. So the only guarantee in Islam for Muslims, when they die, they go to hell. They're going to hell, number one, because Muhammad tells them there are 7 heavens. Christians go to hell, number 2. Jews go to heaven, hell, number 3. And so on. The hypocrite among the Muslims go to hell, number 7. It is 700 degrees hotter when you go to the lower hell. But they are going to hell, number 1. By the way, the Bible is very clear. It's eternal place. If you go there, trust me, you're not leaving. Obviously, those who go to hell number 2, to hell number 7, they will never remove from hell according to Islam. So the idea is that Muslims who died in the last 2 years in Gaza made it to heaven. I'm sorry, that's not Islamic. She made it up. As for the Muslim who convert, the American who convert to Islam because of the Battle of Gaza, it could have some truth in it, Brother Brennan. If you think about what the Muslims are teaching, that these are victims of the savage acts of the Israelis, the Jewish people, the occupiers. These are freedom fighters. These are people striving hard to do good, to have their own country, to have their own land. Maybe some wacko people who have no mind, who have no access to reality, hear that said they feel bad for the people of Gaza. But in reality, you don't convert to religion because you feel bad for the people of that faith. Because if that is the case, we will have people shifting all over the religion over the world, because lots of people are persecuted in the world. Christian, obviously, is the majority. That is not a fact. I have not yet, Brother Brennan, in my 35 years living in America, I have not yet met one Muslim man or a woman who came from American or some other belief beside a Muslim daddy, a Muslim family. Not once. I met with a Muslim man or woman who were converted to Islam because they know jack about Islam. They don't know anything. I have lawyers, doctors, as a matter of fact, some ministers who became Muslim in America who I talk with have never read the Quran. They have no idea who Muhammad is. And by the way, these are the two top reasons why Muslims leave Islam. They leave Islam because they study the Quran. They leave Islam because they learn the truth about their so-called Prophet Islam, Muhammad. Yeah, Linda Sarsour, good luck with your propaganda. There is not one Muslim person in America, not this last 2 years, but the last 35 years, who became a Muslim in America because he knows anything about your cult. It's a very sad story.
Now, the chief of staff for Mamdani is Socialist Democrats of America. Any comment in closing before we go to Patrick Wood on how the SDA are working so closely with the Islamists, which of course is what the jihadi said so many years ago, that only a coalition of the Marxists and Islamists can bring down America. That's one of the Muslim jihadi leaders said that years and years ago.
Brennan, it's very, very, very important fact. If the Muslims will not divide this country, they will never conquer this country. America will not be destroyed from outside. It will be destroyed from inside. And if the Muslim will not work with anyone who will weaken this country, they will never take this country. Muslims are working with gay and lesbian. Now we have two big mosques, one in California and one in New York. They're gay and lesbian mosque, where you go inside the mosque, you see a guy standing next to his boyfriend and the ladies and her wife or whatever, all together. They pray together. They actually have no problem to talk openly about their Muslim gay in America. Why is that? Because the Muslims reach out to the gay and lesbian. If we can gain these people, that group, that 1% or even less, to join us, why not? And so is Muslim working with communists and socialists and any group who will make America weak. If we could not, the Muslims say, destroy America by making it very weak from within, we will never take over America. That's why Muslims are willing to work with anyone and everyone who hate America, who hate our Judeo-Christian system and belief and laws, constitution, and they're willing to say anything to anyone to gain that someone to believe in Islam. They actually will tell some Indian who worship cows that we believe in the cow. We love the cow. We have a whole chapter in the Quran, the biggest chapter in the Quran. That's Quran chapter 2, verse 2, which have 286 verses. It's called the Book of Cow. I mean, they are professional liar. God help me. If people just can open their eyes and have some common sense and I mean, I don't know how to describe it. You could not tell me that people in this country is that dumb to accept Islam with what Muslims say and teach. Just simply read the book, learn about the man of the book. You will discover that there is no truth in that savage cult, and it is very wicked. It is unconstitutional for Muslims to live or to practice the savage teaching of this book, the Quran, or the teaching of Islam to live in America. But sadly, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's the reality. Okay, but once again, they know how to divide this country. They know how to conquer this country from inside. Otherwise, good luck for any Muslim to have a foot in this land.
In closing, the Cliff Note version of how you think Donald Trump is doing when it comes to Islam. He's got a terrorist, convicted terrorist, I guess, a jihadi on his faith board. Isn't that Royer? Isn't that his name, I think? Royer. Then he's got, he just brought in the butcher of Syria, Mamdani, into the White House and honored him and praises him. He's going to let Qatar build a Muslim base in Idaho. Jelani, what did I call him? Mamdani. I keep confusing those two guys.
Mamdani.
I mean, is there really any difference? I mean, but anyway, yeah. Then he's letting Qatar build a military base, a training facility on our base in Idaho. And I could just keep going. So how is President Trump doing with Islam? I mean, he doesn't sound like the same guy as he did the first term when he was first running. The things he was saying, you and I were jumping up and down like, yeah, finally, because he was saying the same things we were saying about we got to know what's coming out of these mosques. Do you hear what's coming out of these mosques? You know, he has totally changed. Maybe he's had a small stroke or a few small strokes, and that's changed his thinking. Or maybe it's all about money. I mean, I can't read his heart and mind, but I'm guessing you're giving him a very low grade when it comes to Islam in this second term.
It's very sad. Yeah, Brother Brandon, it's very sad. It breaks my heart that he finished his 4 years, the first 4 years, without acknowledging that the Muslim Brotherhood is a jihad organization. These are the teeth which the Muslims are using to eat this country from within. These are the termite and these are the cancer which take in high position in this government and in this country. Muslim Brotherhood. They have many organizations under them, like CARE, and you and I know CARE very well, who are literally openly now speaking against America and against Israel. So I don't know how can I defend him. I was hoping that I can defend him, but I'm sorry to say that he maybe just faced the reality that we cannot fight Muslims. Therefore, we're going to be friends with them. I want to have 4 years of peace so I can always be known to be the president of peace. I ended war in 8 countries. I made peace between Muslims and Israel, and I made peace. But I'm sorry. You don't make peace with lions. You don't make peace with snakes, cobra snakes, because if you're going to bring these snakes in your home, they're going to bite you and your children. They're going to kill your people. So I say one thing, Brandon. If Mr. Trump do what is right, acknowledge and ordain the Muslim Brotherhood as a jihad organization, as we see it in Emirat. I mean, Dubai, Emirat, Egypt, the home base of the Muslim Brotherhood is my home country, Egypt. And we acknowledge that Muslim Brotherhood, a jihad organization. That's why you could not run as CARE member in Egypt in any office. You can't. It is unconstitutional in our country. Why he is silent about that? I mean, they're talking about stuff here and there, small pieces, but in reality, I think he's giving Muslims more than I thought he would give them. And I hope and I pray that I'm wrong. I hope and pray that I'm wrong, that sometime in next year or two, that he will do what is right and end the existence of all these jihadi organizations in America. But it does not look good, Brandon. It looks very bad.
TheStraightWay.org, TheStraightWay.org. Do you have any guess on who you think the next president will be?
Mr. Trump. No, I don't think so.
He's not going to get a third term. He'll be fortunate to finish his second.
I'm hoping for that too as well. Only God knows. But I don't think the Republican is going to lose it unless we have to wait to see the midterm. What's going to happen midterm will determine what's coming in the next election. I guarantee you.
All right.
We'll wait and see how we're going to do in the middle. If we lose it bad in the middle, for sure, we're going to lose the White House in the next election.
TheStraightWay.org. Thank you, Usama. Thanks,
Brandon.
All right, joining me real quick. We're going to have to go to a hard break. The computer's going to take it away, but I want to get started with Patrick Wood. Patrick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Nice to see you.
So in my opening monologue today, which is kind of what I shared with you on the phone, I feel like the American people have been put through what we always are put through, which is really a Hegelian dialectic process, something we've been talking about for decades here. I know people's eyes roll back in their heads, some of them, when we talk like that. But those that are now realizing what's going on, they understand how important it is. It's also something you call the scissor strategy. You use one group and another, and you pinch people in the middle. And of course, so one side was Joe Biden's administration being more of a Marxist administration, literally kicking in doors and arresting political dissidents. And now we have Mr. Capitalist, as he has been promoted since certainly the 1980s. They let him take over the power lead. Why are they taking us from communism to capitalism, for both to, quote, fail and then offer up technocracy? Stay tuned. Take a look at this picture. This is my beautiful wife. Does that look like a grandmother to you? Seriously, does that look like a grandmother to you? Well, she is. I took this picture on August 31st, 2025. Now, you want to know how she stays so young and beautiful looking? Well, I'll tell you right now, she does 3 things for sure. She takes Numi every day that's loaded with glutathione to detox your cells. She also takes Bella Grace each and every day, loaded with 3 powerful ingredients. And she takes Gatatana, 1 scoop, the equivalent of 90 billion plant cells. So you can get all of these products that she and myself take each and every day at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. It's a great way to support your health and also our broadcast network as we continue to push out free Christian worldview programming. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk with your host, Jim Schneider, on over 100 outlets nationwide. America's original Christian talk program since the 1970s. Okay? You'll find it if you don't have a terrestrial station in your market. You'll find it at VCY, the V as in Victor, not BV as in Victor. So VCY.org. All right. Let's go back to Patrick. Oh, by the way, my brand new book, Siege, out tomorrow. Then they're working feverishly right now, laying out the pages for my Revelation commentary. After spending a year and a half teaching through the book of Revelation verse by verse on Sunday night, I finished it on Sunday, 53 one-hour lessons. Some of them are an hour and 5, hour and 8, but most of them are about an hour. 53 of those. And you can watch all of them and listen to all of them, by the way, at lastdaysstudy.com, lastdaysstudy.com. And now we're turning it into a commentary. We've been working on this for quite some time, a commentary and a study guide. So at the end of each chapter will be questions. And you will, again, not have to buy it. If you're a Vault member, it will be placed in the Vault. That one is going to be over 200 pages. It just has to be that way. So it's 22 chapters, so it's verse by verse. So we really have no choice. So that one will be there. I'm guessing sometime after Thanksgiving, around the 1st of December. So a lot coming. And then the book Sabotage. Again, another book that I've been working on for a long time based on my 2018 documentary. And I finally said, boys, we're going to finish all these up. And we've been working feverishly now for the last few months. And then I'm trying to finish up my book and documentary part 3 of Brainwashed America. So I'll be spending a lot of the Thanksgiving break writing the script for part 3, Brainwashed America part 3. Then I'll be filming it and post-edit it. That will give us then the final parts that we need to turn that into a book as well that will go into the vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. Would you like to leave a testimonial for us to play on the air? We're going to play a bunch of them coming up here the first week of December. If you'd like to leave a testimonial on what the broadcast has meant to you, your family, your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, we'd love to hear from you. How many of you were blessed by the testimony of Drew from Michigan last week when he called in? We're still talking about it. Many of our family members are still talking about it. So we would love to have your testimonial recorded. We can play on the air. And if the voicemail is full, try back because it is filling up. We're trying to keep it where it will take your call and let you leave the voicemail. 901-468-9357, 901-468-9357. Love to hear your testimonial. And thank you to those who've already done that. Thank you to those of you that will. 901-468-9357. Let's go back to Patrick Wood of Technocracy.news, Technocracy.news. Patrick, the scissor strategy, the pincher, they gave us Joe Biden, the communist worldview in his administration. Then they bring out Mr. Capitalist as he was kind of portrayed since the 80s. That's kind of flopping, but it's not really capitalism. It's really big government, big business merging together. He's even buying up parts of companies, stocking companies with government money. That's actually corporate fascism. But they can still tell you communism didn't work under Biden so well, did it, guys? Capitalism, so-called, didn't work so well under Mr. Trump. Maybe we should try something different. Why not technocracy? Let's take the human element out of it. They can't be bribed. They can't be bought. It'll always do the right thing because we'll program it to do the right thing. And then we'll expand it with 15-minute cities because you're sick and tired of the crime and the terrorism. And we'll all be on our best behavior when you know you're being filmed, including the cops, as Larry Ellison said. Has this been a big, gigantic Hegelian dialectic, Patrick?
It has, and I think the end game is upon us right now. Technocracy is just taking over everywhere in the world, and especially in America, with all the arch technocrats swarming around Washington, D.C. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Except, I have to say, when Jimmy Carter came in as president in 1976, he brought all the members of the Trilateral Commission into his administration en masse. It was just an incredible story. And everybody scratched their head. What's going on here? Well, they knew that they were going to, the object of the Trilateral Commission was to create a new international economic order. That's what they said. And the best way to do that is to capture the economic engine of the world. That's the United States, obviously. We were the 800-pound gorilla in the living room. So at this point, the technocrats have appeared en masse in Washington, D.C. I think at this point, they think maybe they won't be successful, but I think at this point, they're thinking it's game over as far as America's concerned.
So here in July on our broadcast, Annie Cyrus predicted that Donald Trump would be impeached and convicted and removed from office. And some folks, of course, didn't want to say that publicly, but it seems like more are. Mark Mitchell last night, lead pollster of Rasmussen last night, said he expects Donald Trump to be impeached and thinks that some of his own party members will help. Today, we wake up to all of these emails that the Democrats are releasing, supposedly by Jeffrey Epstein, talking about Donald Trump and what he was involved in. Now, whether any of that's true or not, I have no idea. And I'm not going to say they are, because I don't want to, I'm not passing around gossip and slander. Then it needs to be proven if they're true. Everything I've seen is that Donald Trump was the one that actually worked with the authorities as a major source to expose Jeffrey Epstein. So I don't know what's going on. I do know this. One of the communist tactics mentioned by one of the former KGB officers, and he wrote on this, that was that before the communists fully take over and go after America big time, or any country, they will discredit the leaders so badly that the country has no confidence in any of their leaders. And at the time, because of technology, that could mean releasing photographs or video images of them involved in immoral, illegal behavior so that everyone was disgusted. Well, isn't this interesting? Nobody was talking then about politicians being caught with underage children. Now it seems to have reached a whole new level. Of course, today they could fake stuff with deep fakes and AI, and no one will really know what is reality, what's not. We're running into news stories that we're having to try to check constantly and say, is that a real story? Is that real footage? No, that's AI. We have to actually go research because it looks so real, we can't tell. That's how dangerous things are getting. So what will be done in reality, what will be done in manufacturing, we don't know. But isn't it interesting, the old Soviet tactic, one of them exposed by a former KGB officer, is when they go to take over, they will make it so that the people of a country have no hope, no confidence in any of their leaders. I feel like that's what's going on right now.
It seems that way. And, you know, technocracy is ready with all the data centers and the AI systems that are infiltrating our government to run even whole agencies. This is really crazy and dystopian. But if somehow that idea can be spread, especially with younger generation, if they can get the idea, well, we have the AI algorithm now that's supposed to be, you know, impartial, not radicalized one way or another. If they can buy that scheme, technocracy will be wildly popular with everybody.
Okay, so will they, I think they will definitely impeach President Trump. Remind everybody how that works. You get impeached in the House, they vote to impeach you, and then it moves to the Senate for a trial. President Trump was not convicted. He was impeached, but not convicted. Clinton was impeached, but not convicted. So if you find him impeached and then convicted, or he leaves office because he realizes he's going to be convicted, like Nixon, he decided to leave because he knew it was inevitable. His own party said it's time to go. what do the party leaders go to the White House and say, time is up, you need to leave, or you're going to be convicted and impeached? And then, of course, you can be prosecuted. But if you just leave, maybe the president behind you will pardon you the way Ford did Nixon. And voila, you have President J.D. Vance setting up the tech bros to run him as the sitting president. Patrick?
Exactly. And of course, we have to remember that J.D. Vance is the protege of Peter Thiel. We believe that Thiel, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself and Courtney Turner, that we co-authored a book recently, just last week,
called
The Final Betrayal. We believe that Peter Thiel is the master architect of everything that's going on right now vis-a-vis technocracy in Washington, D.C. He started this in earnest probably around 2005 with a plan. And he's executed his plan flawlessly. And at this point, he's been successful in being interjected into politics with J.D. Vance in particular. He's sponsored J.D. Vance and also Blake Masters in Arizona. By the way, we have one of them over here. But he's been a master architect, we believe, and his plan is not complete yet. Let me put it that way. Okay, he's not at the end of it. But J.D. Vance is in the position now to be president if Trump is somehow ejected or passes away or whatever until not necessarily. Be very careful here. We don't want President Trump to be harmed in any way, but they've tried to do this twice already, so it could happen. But somehow, J.D. Vance seems to be part of the end game to usher in technocracy in America.
So I noticed on your website today, where you can also get his book, the new book he has out, ICE agents use new tech to identify and track people. I also just saw the other day where a bunch of the Hamas guys were having plastic surgery to alter their faces so they can't be found. This is going to be a whole beast system, isn't it? I mean, and they're already practicing with the technology, aren't they?
They really are. This business with ICE at this point, we have to remember, this is under the Department of Homeland Security that was brought to us by a Republican conservative administration under George Bush, right? And so we had, as a response to 9/11, we got the TSA, for instance, all the pat downs and the invasions of privacy, et cetera, search and seizure, all that whole thing, normalized Americans for sure into the surveillance state. Now they have these federalized police force taking pictures of people on the street who not done any crimes. This is a whole nother level.
Yeah, whole nother level. Let's open up the phone lines. 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, folks. Make your comments quick and pithy, and we'll roll through as many as we can. 1-800-347-9829. Get on board now. We go right to your calls as soon as we come back from the break. 1-800-347-9829. Go to worldviewtalk.com. Get your satellite phone like I have, because you know what? China is in on our power grid. That is a matter of proven fact. If you want to have communications with your loved ones, your family, your children, maybe your spouse travels, maybe you have a child away at college, you want communication should the grid go down. That's why you need a satellite phone, worldviewtalk.com. But look what else they have. They also have solar generators. I have one of their solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400, a solar generator, so I can, of course, charge my satellite phone. I can run my coffee pot. I can run my whole house if I want to. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com, or use that number, 1-866-738-3224. They have very friendly operators that will explain to you their products, but you can explain to them what it is you're desiring to acquire. How much electricity are you wanting to generate with this solar generator? Well, they'll tell you what size you need. Worldviewtalk.com or 1-866-738-3224. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Mike, line 1. Mike in Texas. Hi, Mike. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir. Nice to hear from you.
You too, Mike.
Question. Thank you, sir. Question for you. What is your backing behind? I heard you talk a little bit why you think Trump may be impeached, but what's really the backing behind that? I mean,
yeah, the backing, but as far as what will they charge him with, or why would they do it?
Why would they do it?
Okay, the reason they might do this, and this is what we went into in great detail last night with Mark Mitchell, is that
I'm sorry.
That's all right. No. Don't be sorry. Those two different shows. I'm just mentioning here what we talked about there. And I'm glad to mention it here. So I'm glad you called. So don't apologize for that. The reason why the Republicans would get on board is because it is a uni-party by and large. And President Trump has allowed the Republican Party to be really taken over by MAGA. And the establishment part of the party doesn't want MAGA. Think Lindsey Graham, think all the typical players in the Republican Party. So this is their opportunity to sully MAGA and be done with MAGA once and for all and get back to the real goal, which is a corporatism, which is a corporate fascism, which fits very nicely with technocracy. So excellent question. In other words, they want this to be the death knell of MAGA so they can get back control of the party. Would you agree with that, Patrick Wood?
Would, and I hate to say that our recent book, The Final Betrayal, it may help that process. When America figures out that they've been totally betrayed by the Trump administration and this administration for the first 12 months, they're going to flip out. And I think already we see the people weighing in on leaving reviews, sending emails to us. They get it at this point. We've been betrayed.
Yeah. And of course, folks, we were out here taking the slings and arrows. You're anti-Trump. You hate Trump. Like, no, we don't. We had every reason to want him to succeed and be successful, but we have to report the truth and where things are going and what these philosophies and ideas and people mean for the country. This isn't about Donald Trump, okay? It's about us, we the people. And now, once again, we've been proven right. And we were not going to kowtow to a political correctness. And that's what many wanted us to do. Just be all rainbows and unicorns. That's not what this program is about. If you can't handle the truth, this program is not for you. And that means we have to say the truth before it becomes comfortable. And now many people have joined that. Mark Mitchell, one of them last night, flat out saying MAGA is dead. And this is what he's doing. If he doesn't correct course, he actually said if Trump doesn't correct course, the question is, will he go down in the polls as a George H. Bush or a Jimmy Carter? Wow. Let's go to Karen, line 2 from New Jersey. Hi, Karen.
Yes, hi. My question is, you had mentioned that the United States is going to be taken down from within. There are people out there that saying we are Mystery Babylon and we are going to be taken down by Russia or China sending bombs and destroying the electric grid. And then the people that are here that have, the people who cross the border illegally, a lot of them are terrorists, and then they'll do the work inside. Now, are we Mystery Babylon? Is that how America's the eagle's wings are going to be plucked?
Well, thank you, Karen.
At World War III, or are we not near World War III, or are we not near that destruction by being bombed by?
Thank you, Karen.
Russia.
Let me see if I can answer this before we run out of time. I don't think America's Mystery Babylon. People can disagree, and that's fine. I believe Babylon's Babylon. When I study the Bible, I try to use consistent hermeneutics, house rules. When it says Jerusalem, it means Jerusalem. Rome means Rome. Babylon means Babylon. And the only reason people are saying that it can't be Babylon is because there was nothing and has been nothing in Babylon. But I trust the Bible, and I stick with the Bible. And so in my book, The Coming Religious Reich, in 2015, I was very bold. It's Babylon, people. Just hold on. Well, guess what? This year, they're completing the Faw Port, F-A-W, Faw Port. It'll be the largest, perhaps the largest commercial port in the world, running right through Babylon. So no, we are not Babylon. That is a literal Babylon, which will be a Eurocentric world government. Great question, Karen. But yes, we are close to World War III. And Gordon Chang last night on my broadcast said, when I asked him, where does it start? He said he believes World War III starts in the U.S. World War III will start in the United States of America on our soil with massive attacks by the red-green axis. We'll see. Sandra in Pennsylvania, line 3. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Brandon. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
So I've been piecing things together and thinking a lot about the radical change in President Trump's position on Islam since his first term compared to the actions he's taking recently. And I'm very troubled by it. And I've also wondered, and I wanted to get Patrick's perspective on this, given that Mr. Trump had the COVID-19 shot, which we know is a bioweapon with nanotechnology, and Yuval Noah Harari has said that human beings would be hackable. Could it be that his radical shift is in some way related to that because he's been somehow hacked by our enemies?
I will let Patrick answer, but I will also say this. Don't forget about the James Thorpe, Peter McCullough study, that people who get the shot, they have an inability to be involved in reason, logic, and context. Their cognitive ability slips. They have a hard time with reasoning. Some of them become depressed. Some of them become suicidal. But what if he's just at that spot where he just cannot make good decisions any longer? Patrick?
Wow, that's a good question. I want to bring up the concept that Islamic finance, that's what she was talking about in the first place. Islamic finance is an asset-based system. In other words, they don't allow any debt in their system. And what's going on in America now with this new financial system based on stable coins and asset-based tokenization, this is basically an asset-based system that they're erecting in America. It's going to be compatible with Islamic finance at some point. This may explain why President Trump is so chummy with all of these Islamic countries at this point, because our financial system will eventually link up with theirs.
Wow, I had never considered the fact that they don't like debt in their Sharia system, and that we're moving from a debt-based system to an asset-based system, and that would be more compatible with Sharia. Amazing. That is amazing. Insightful. Patrick Wood, technocracy.news, technocracy.news. Please stay tuned and get his new book. Please stay tuned for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider at bcy.org. Take care. And we're back with WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and you here at Worldview Tube. Let me come back to you, Patrick, in our remaining moments here. What do you make of the Michael Burry of, what was the name of the movie? Short Cell or something or other?
The Big Short.
The Big Short. People are going through there saying, he's not that bright, folks. Look at all the things he called and missed, blah, 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 blah. There's a long list of them. Okay, whatever. But he did make a lot of money calling The Short. And I think he waited around 18 months for it to finally show itself. There are those saying that we are in the collapse right now. Mitch Vexler was on the other night. He was talking about over what is now one of the guys that was involved in The Big Short in real life. He looked at Mitch's report on the fraudulent school bonds. He says it's not 5.1 trillion. There's a lot of data you can't see, Mitch, which I was able to go and uncover a little better. And I think it's 17 trillion in fraudulent school bonds across the country. Then you add into the derivatives, which many of those are tied to these bogus derivatives in many of our banks. The de-dollarization, China and Russia are largely now out of the dollar. We keep going on, and I could keep mentioning all the things that are happening. But then you add in what the Supreme Court may do soon with reversing President Trump, who has said we're going to have to pay back $3 trillion, which is insurmountable. That right there could be the reason they impeach him. is that they're going to say he abused his emergency powers. Even the Supreme Court agreed, and we're impeaching him. Who knows? They'll have lots of reasons, valid or invalid. They're going to have lots of reasons. But give me your thoughts. Are we in the middle of the collapse, like Mitch Wexler says, the middle of the financial collapse? Are we in the middle of the Great Reset?
I think so. It's kind of hard to tell because it'll appear in phases. Right now, it's very clear. We know that this debt-based system can't survive, not long at this point. We see cracks where companies are being defaulted on their loans, and it's very disturbing. And I think even big companies like BlackRock have been stung with vanishing assets. And at this point, if the debt-based system is going to be retired or crashed or destroy whatever, that's going to make the way for an asset-based system after that. And this is my big concern at this point. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what an asset-based system would look like. What I come up with basically is Islamic finance, maybe without Sharia, but nevertheless, it's asset-based accounting, just like they have in the Middle East. So remember, the dollar is based on debt creation in the first place. That's why we say this is a debt-based economic system. All currency is created because debt is created. So the ability to do business in America is basically dependent on how much money is created by issuing debt. This is why the dollar is going to be doomed eventually. And if somehow they can figure out a way to ditch all the debt in America and start over with an asset-based system, Katie, bar the door. It's going to be a wild ride.
What does that look like? What's that wild ride look like?
I'm not sure at this point. How they can get all the debt converted into an asset, I don't know. But whenever property is taken away from people, for instance, if your house has a mortgage, you can't pay the mortgage, whatever, or you just want out of it and you can't get out, somebody comes along, say, I'll buy your house for you. I'll give you asset-based tokens, from another source. You'll be happy. We'll take your house now. We'll take it and put it in our master humongous portfolio of houses, and we're going to tokenize the whole bunch of it. So how this would happen? How can they mop up all of the vestiges of the debt all over the place? I don't know. But it seems to me that's an inevitable choice that the oligarchs will make to retire debt, somehow figure a way to get all of the debt wiped out. That may play into what the Economic Forum talks about. By 2030, you'll own nothing. Well, basically, for all the people who own with stuff with debt on it, that could be a prophecy at that point.
Okay, what about the people in this audience who are very smart, and I tend to have an older audience, who are debt-free? Quick answer, music's playing. Will they at least be able to keep their house if they're out of debt and they own the house?
Absolutely. At this point, that's absolutely true.
So you believe the people that are debt-free will not be punished by having their property taken?
And eventually, probably, but at this point, that's a safety net for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Praise the Lord for that, right? You hate to see good people punished for doing the right thing. I'm tired of seeing that, right? Technocracy.news, technocracy.news. Get his new book. Thanks for watching. Take care.